All right, guys, welcome back to the Family Science Podcast, where we talk about all things precision rifle. Today we got Clayton Smith with West Texas Ordnance and Caprock Rifle Club. Clayton, thank you very much for joining us. How's it
Hey,
going?
absolutely, man. Good to see you again.
Always. Clayton recently just had the first. It was the first ever NRL hunter match in Texas, right?
It
First two
was.
day.
Yeah. Yeah, sure was. First national NRL hunter match.
So Clayton brought NRL Hunter to Texas, and I think did a really, really good job on it. I may be a little biased, but I'm okay with that. It was my favorite NRL match that I shot this year, and so I kind of wanted to chat about it and let people know about it. Uh, for the people that missed out, don't miss out next year, kind of thing. Um,
Hey.
so I guess first off, I mean, what did you think? I mean, how did hosting a national level match go, and what did you think of how everything went?
Overall, we were super satisfied. On a personal level, I was really happy. Just with the number of people that showed up. When you host a match for the first time, and it's the first time for a new venue, and it's the first time in a new state, and everything else. Locally, obviously, we're pretty well known. People know who West Texas Ordnance is. Um, but everybody's kind of taking a gamble with their entry fee to come try out a new place. And so I understand that, shooting matches, it's if you haven't been there before, if you don't have guys that have been on that course before that are like, yeah, you should come do this, it's a little bit of a gamble. So I was just really appreciative for all of the guys that came out, everybody that came and shot and gave us a chance. And I feel like overall the match went really well. I've run a lot of 1 day matches and of course shot tons and tons of 2 day matches in every format. So I had a pretty good idea of what I thought it would take to make it work and work well. And I would say that for about 90% of it, maybe a little bit more than that, we got it right. There's definitely some things that we sat down and did our after action report afterwards, and there's things we can do better. There's things we can polish up, tighten up, be more efficient in a few little different ways that we could run things that I think would make the match flow even better than it was. And so, uh, I would never sit here and say, oh, it was perfect. But man, for the first time running, uh, yeah, I felt really good about it.
Good. Well, and I agree, and I mean I've come to a bunch of your stuff. The thing that I liked about it was, and we'll get into kind of the course of fire and stuff, but it wasn't just like, hey, come out to Texas and we're gonna go out and shoot targets. Like it was an event. I mean, y'all having the pro shop there at the range, people would come in and buy stuff and check things out, or if they had equipment issues, and then y'all have the new um, kitchen and bathroom area that y'all just built. I'm blanking on what the word of that thing is called. The new
Pavilion.
building. Pavilion. Thank you.
There you go.
Uh, New pavilion bill. And then, all of the cool side stages and the food was amazing. It was just cool. It was an event rather than just, hey, show up and shoot. So uh I think y'all did really well.
I appreciate
Um so I will say, so I mean, I for those that haven't been to West Texas, it's flat. It's super flat. And and I've been out to the range tons of times, and you go out and especially from the main firing line shooting out, it looks as flat as can be. And but I had never been past the main firing line to where we shot for the NRL course. And you pointed out, I mean, there's like what would you say, maybe like 10 feet of elevation or so. And
Yeah, maybe at the max 15 feet of difference, but just enough to kind of mess with you.
yeah, and so when I got out there, because that was my biggest, I guess, concern coming out, was like, man, the targets are going to stand out like a sore thumb because it's just
Yeah.
flat. And they didn't. um
They kind of disappeared.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, and so I mean, there's a lot of like natural vegetation and tall grass and stuff, and because it is a a functioning range, there were berms everywhere, and so I mean, that was, and I kind of want that's one of the things I want to get into, and we talked about a little bit, but it seemed like every stage as you worked your way through the course of fire, there was just like a different little nuance that you had to focus on a little bit differently. Whether it was these targets are really narrow, so you got to figure out you got to have to have a perfect wind call, or these targets are hard to find, or these targets are skinny and they're hard to range properly, or whatever it is. So can you kind of walk us through like how did you think of that? Because there were some big brain moves in setting up that course of fire.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably your first comment of, oh, this is going to be flat. I think I heard that. That was probably the most common reaction of every match attendee that I met, especially guys that had traveled here for the match that don't know the area. You know, everybody was just kind of consistently surprised by the amount of terrain that we could use to our advantage to move some targets around and make something that was not just a wide open flat range match. And so that did take a lot of work as far as the thought process to line that out. Really, when we were laying out the course of fire, I just kind of looked at it the way an animal would look at it and the way that I've seen things happen in real hunting in this part of the world. I grew up hunting here. The shop is 60 miles from where I was born and raised. And so for the last 30 years of my life, I've been hunting this kind of terrain. And so you see a lot of things, and you see places that a coyote would show up, or you see places that you would see a hog run or a mule deer bed. And so you bring that into it. That was a lot of the thought process for me. And the other part of it was just thinking about some other experiences, even Western state experiences. Even elk hunting. You'll get into places to where you may only have a very limited window to make the shot that you need to make, either for terrain or vegetation. There's going to be something obscuring the shot that you need. I think about elk and timber. A bull I killed several years ago in Colorado, shooting from one side of a draw to the other, and I had my buddy said after we finished the hunt, he was like, "Dude, you threaded a needle on that." I had about a 12-inch window in some timber to shoot this bull across the canyon, and that's the shot that you had. And so you had to line that up. We knew where he was, but you had to be in the right position to see the shot and put the round where it's supposed to go. And so I tried to bring that into the stage design here. I knew it would be harder for us to hide targets than it is on a match that has really good terrain features. And so we tried to take that and use what we had to the absolute most advantage we could give it. And I feel like we did pretty well with that. There's even some more things I think we can do. I've been on a dozer for half the afternoon, pushing some dirt around, moving some different firing points, trying to make it even better for that purpose. But yeah, you find where you're going to put a stage, and then you start looking and you start finding holes for targets, and you go, okay, where could I put this that it's visible from here and only here? That you can't see
Mm,
it 50 yards away. You can't see it on the run up. You can only see it when you get to your glassing point. And that's not always possible, but there was a lot of it we could do, even in our pretty gentle terrain. There's a lot of ways to hide things here, and that was kind of fun. It was
yeah,
as a match director, it's a big puzzle for your mind, and I'm a puzzle guy. I like to solve problems, and so it was a blast to put together.
that's that's a cool take on it. Because I mean, you hunt a lot more than I do. And I was mainly thinking of it from just a straight competition point of view. That's really unique on how you kind of put all that together. Um, because there was I was talking to one of the guys that shot the match right before this, and so and I kind of want to get your thought on it, but it was they were foxes or coyotes,
Oh yeah,
and
the
it had the
thriller.
one going up the hill.
Yeah,
Yeah, he calls it the thriller coyote.
Yep, sure enough.
And he was like, Clayton has to have a thriller fox or coyote or whatever in every match moving forward now.
It may become a staple like that. That that's one of those things too. Like sometimes you get some happy accidents, and on the fox targets, those were actually brand new targets that we had cut for this match. And it was just a little bit of an accident because when we had our guy cut the slot for the hanger, he got it just a touch off balance to the balance point of the fox because their tails are so big. And so that was the first target we put in on the fox stage. And we drove the target hanger stake straight in the ground like you would for any other target. And we threw that fox on it. And of course he's like dancing up the hill. And I was like, oh man, what do we do with this crooked target? And then we kind of looked at the slope and we thought, we leave it and we
Yeah.
shoot it. That's what we do with this crooked target.
Yeah, I thought it was great. And it was just one of those like weird things that it's like, oh, it's a animal target. It's 8 or 9 tenths long, but
Sure.
now
Yeah.
it's at a 30-degree angle and figure it out.
Figure it out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Make sure your wind and your elevation's good.
Yeah. Um, but yeah, I thought it was super cool with all the terrain and everything. And like I used my tripod and triple pull more at that match than I did any of the other ones.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
just having to get up over things and see different things. But yeah, the like having to figure out because I haven't really shot, and I think it's just the style of hunting that I've done. I just haven't had to deal with getting up out of the grass that
oh,
much,
sure. Yeah.
and it was harder than I thought it would be.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot more to it, and I'm kind of the same way. If I have a choice of position and place to hunt, I'm like most people. I'm gonna try to pick a high point where I can see a lot of terrain, a lot of country.
Yeah,
Uh, if I have my pick of sites, I'm probably gonna pick a spot where I have the ability to go prone and shoot prone and shoot in the most comfortable, most stable position I can be. And there's places you can do that, but especially when you get into West Texas mule deer hunting, um, man, you don't get that option a lot out here, and you can kill some of the biggest mule deer bucks in the country, probably within 100 miles of where we had this match, easily. There's deer that rival any of the muleys you can shoot in the Western states here, but you have to hunt them a little differently. And you have to be prepared for some terrain that's going to ask more of you than just laying on the ground.
yeah. Um, it was yeah. That's super cool. So, I know y'all did. Or before we go, that what was your favorite stage that you put together, or was there a general consensus on a favorite stage?
So it's interesting. We actually did a post match survey, which I'm sure you probably did or saw.
Mhm.
Um, the post match survey says that stage 14, Mike's number one stage,
Yes,
that
that was
that
it.
was the favorite of the match.
All
Yes.
right.
Yeah. And so like that actually was the match favorite by a fairly wide margin. And I would have to say on a personal level, yeah, I would probably go with that. That or maybe stage one, which was the Sasquatches.
Yeah,
Uh, you remember them kind of up from the top ridge on the west end of the place. Uh, that was a cool stage to me for another different reason, I guess. I enjoyed setting that up, and really I thought it was cool because that was a stage that if you thought about it, you could actually shoot the entire stage prone. And I didn't see a single shooter do it. Everybody that shot the stage, at least while I was watching, shot it and shot it from a tripod or triple pull and tripod rear or something like that, which is fine. Targets were big enough, and if you had a
yeah,
good wind bar, you could make that work. But we built that stage in such a way to make people maybe I don't know if try something they're not comfortable with would be the right way to do it, but we built it in such a way that it could be shot prone if you thought it through. And if you didn't, you would just do what you were comfortable with. And
Yeah.
so that came to me from last year's NRL finale. There was a particular stage that I just bombed. I mean, shot like a 2 or 3 on it, and it wasn't a hard stage. It was something that should have been cleanable, and I just fell apart. And like the when I finally finished the time, I'm picking up all the pieces and just feeling horrible. And I look back behind me, and I was like, I had the thought, I could have laid down and shot this entire stage. And instead, I had fought with probably every piece of equipment that I had carried, and lost the battles at every piece. And so it's one of those like searing, painful lessons that's in my brain now. Like, hey, look for a spot and see if you can shoot it prone because sometimes it works. And that was for sure one that could.
That's funny. I say, yeah, I didn't think it because I shot the second position prone, but I definitely shot the first one off a
Yeah,
tripod.
you could
Uh,
actually shoot the first one prone too. Uh, Target one, you would have to have a little faith on it because you'd have some brush between you and the target, but it wouldn't affect the trajectory of any round being used. You would just have to know, where your round was going to go and that it would clear the brush when you laid down. So yeah,
that's awesome.
yeah.
So will you tell people what stage 14 was?
Yeah. Okay. So stage 14 was 4 hogs. And full disclosure, I stole this stage. Colin Fawson is the first guy to run this that I ever saw. And he did it at Buffalo Bills Revenge a couple of years ago, probably 2021, I guess. And it was a ton of fun. Uh, Basically, the way it breaks down is you've got 4 hogs. You have to kill the first hog in 60 seconds. And if you don't engage the first target and neutralize it in 60 seconds, you die because that was the charging pig that came and got you. And now, your stage is over. And so, the secret to it is it's a full size pig at 100 yards. Like it's a monster.
Yeah.
And so it's not a hard target to hit. And as soon as you get on station, it's not even hard to find. But it sure does mess with people mentally when they're reading that placard. They're like, oh, 60 seconds. How am I going to do this? And the truth is you run up there and you shoot it and then carry on with your life. But
Yeah.
but yeah, it was a blast. And the other three were basically off in a line, all 600-ish yards. So,
Yeah.
not easy shots, but again, full size wide targets, forgiving enough. If you could find them and keep your brain process in a good order and keep your mental process right, it's a cleanable stage. But you've got to be smooth on everything you do.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the things that made it as fun as it was with that was the sighting stake being the fork of a tree. And so
Yeah.
you had
Oh yeah.
to work your way through this tree of getting that shot off and then setting up to find everything else. And it was fun ROing that stage, watching what everybody did, all the different ways that people tried to get equipment set up and, work around that tree.
Oh yeah. Yeah. We don't have a lot of trees in West Texas, so when we find one, we're going to use it to the best of our ability. And when we were just going out cruising the pasture, planning the course of fire, we found that and just decided, yep, that's got to go in here somehow, some way. And so it did. And probably for better or worse, it made it, but it was fun.
Oh, I thought it was. So I will say when I very first saw it, I was like, I don't know what I think about this. And then I shot it. And I was like, oh my God, that was so much fun. Even
Yeah.
and the reason he calls it Mike's number one stage is because I got a one on it because I'm an idiot. And I shot over I didn't zero my turrets out after the last stage and missed a full size pig at 100 yards.
These things happen, Mike.
Yeah, but it was fun. And I think for the most part, uh and I had a bunch of people come up and tell me that was like the funnest stage of the match, and they had a great time figuring it, even if they didn't do very well or it was a cluster trying to work around the tree or whatever. They're like, oh, that was a good time.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure.
And then one of the other ones I thought was really cool. I kind of heard like a love hate relationship with it was the T-Rex stage.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Those T-Rexes, man.
Well,
So what did you hear? Was it that they were
it
hard to find, or what was the?
yeah, it was that it was hard to find because it was such a big pan.
Yeah.
But and so people were just like, oh my God, like I kept looking left and thinking I'd find it, and then I didn't, so I'd come back and and then they'd watch someone else or whatever and and see where they are at. But I thought it because the targets weren't necessarily that hard to hit. It was just trusting. Okay, and that's okay. It just made me think of that. So one thing I did notice is the other NRL matches, like your sighting stakes, like if they're really narrow, obviously they're kind of in a line or whatever. And if they were really big, they were generally like all on one side or like halfway to one side or whatever.
Right.
Um, I thought it was cool that I mean when you walked up and they were pretty big limiters, we were going to work damn near all of it.
Yeah. You better be
um,
prepared.
yeah, and something I did notice a lot of like it'd say this stage is left to right or this one's right to left, and then people would get on their glass and start right in the middle.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Or something like that. And then it would, like, oh, okay, well, I found this one, and then they'd find like targets 3 and 4, but then couldn't find the first two.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh, yeah. But
and
that's
then
something that we've taught. I did a train up for some of the ROs for the match beforehand, because some of them were brand new. Like some of our ROs had not even shot a match before, and so it was a new experience all the way around. Some local guys that are really excited about it. And so we did some training beforehand, and one of the things that I try to tell people if they ask, or if we're doing some sort of a hunter based class is, it's just like hunting. Think about your search area and cut your search area into a grid, you know, and be methodical in your searching. If you have a left and right limit, pick a left or a right side and start there and work that search area in a logical progression. Don't just start in the middle of it and just kind of be lost swimming in a circle. Pick you an edge, start from that edge, and work your way to the other side, and don't miss anything in between.
yeah, 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 it was just cool. And then I do want to. So I think one of my other favorite stages was stage 2 with the little pigs.
Oh yeah, yeah, the piglets. I don't know that
Yeah.
they're going to come back next year. There's been a lot of hate for the little piglets.
Oh, well, remember I came up and told you I was like, you're gonna make some people mad with this stage, but like it's not a. I thought it was a very well written stage. It was just a hard stage.
Yeah, it
Uh,
was.
but I loved it. And so the thing, so it was 4 targets left to right, and for those that haven't shot NRL, the first target is within what's the rule, like 10 yards of the placard or something like
Yeah, it's
that.
got to be 10 yards of the placard. Yeah.
So there were 2 targets right next to the placard, and one was to the right of it, and one was above it. And so you just had to like remember it's left to right, and if you saw the one right next to it, and then just started going right,
Yep. You'll
you
never
know,
find it. Yeah,
and then one of them was brown and just was hard to find.
for
Uh,
sure.
but I liked that stage. It was and it was one of the few that you could shoot prone.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. It was entirely prone, and I don't think there was a pig there that was more than 300 yards. Like it,
I
it
don't think
wasn't
so.
Yeah, it really wasn't a super hard target either. It was just a matter of like you say, following the stage brief and finding them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I think that's what, like I was saying, why I liked it, because it was just whether it was okay. Remember, it's left to right, and there's two targets within 10 yards of each other. Which one's left? And
right.
you
Yeah,
know, and then like some of like the the foxes, that maybe being like a couple tenths tall, they're probably over a mil wide, but getting a range on them, you
tough.
know, yeah, I ranged so much at that match. It's like
Oh, I
target,
bet. Yeah,
target, T post, berm, like, and then it it was fun. It made you work for it.
absolutely. Yeah.
And then one of the things I really liked, and it's because of the facility that y'all are on. There was, I don't know, maybe four stages or so that had pretty long shots. We had
Yes.
like a 700, 800, a couple of 900. Um, and you just don't get that out of a lot of NRL venues.
It's true. You know, a lot of matches you see, they may be limited just by acreage or terrain may limit,
R-
and they just don't have the ability to, to push something out farther.
Yeah,
And here we're really fortunate, just like you say, the range itself, the way it lays out. Uh, we can put targets that are normal distances. We can put close targets. We can do a lot of things in the mid range, but we can also stretch it out um, in a lot of ways that you can't do in some other places. And that was fun. And that was another thing that, just as a director and laying out a course of fire, we tried really hard to uh, set it up to where you would never have those stages exactly back to back, right? So you'd
yeah,
never have to shoot a 900-yard stage and then an 800-yard stage. Like if you had a long stage, you're probably going to have something that's a mid range, maybe a slightly larger target next. And then you might get a little longer. But we tried to alternate that really well, just because you don't, for one, you want to challenge people in different ways, stage to stage, but you also don't want to prolong the suffering if somebody's in a rough patch and just keep handing them defeat after defeat after
yeah,
defeat, Like I don't like that as a match attendee. If I
right.
have a stage that I just bomb, I'd like to get some redemption the next time around. So I tried really hard to make that a possibility on the course.
Yeah, that's a good point. And man, the wind, I mean, it's west. Man, we had 360 degrees of wind, I think, within the first 2 or 3 hours of day one.
Oh yeah, easy, easy. We had all of the wind in every direction in every condition, for
Yeah.
sure.
Still, one of my favorite was when the Hawkins guys got on my stage day one, and all morning it had been coming left to right, and just like as they're getting their guns out, it just 180s. And
Oh
he
yeah.
and Nick was like, "Wait, hold on, crap, it's coming from the right now. I'll go this way." And
Yeah.
it was great. I mean, they did good. They got third place in teams, I think, or something. But
They did. Yeah,
but
they
yeah,
shot really well.
it was so fun to. I mean, and it happened in 20 seconds. Just
Yeah, just out of nowhere.
um okay, so let's see. So I will say so. And I don't want to beat the top of the match to death, but if for those that didn't get to go, I thought it was a great match. The range is freaking awesome. But y'all did a great job. I mean, just the food and running shuttles for everybody. I mean, just everything was thought out. I hope I think it'll be even better next year and bigger but for those that didn't come, I think I would put it on your calendar for next year for sure. But so tell me, so I know y'all have a lot of other stuff coming up. the youth shoot is the next big one, right?
Yeah, that's the next kind of big thing that's really organic to us. We have two uh, Precision Rifle Series 1 day regional matches coming up. So we
Okay.
have a regional series qualifier July the 20th that's coming up. I'm about to start working on the course for it. That's going to be a blast. Really, really, I don't know. I'm excited about that. I'm as excited for that regional 1 day as I was to put the NRL match together. Uh, we added a moving target system to the range. Peter
Oh
Knight
yeah.
for CLR. Of course, he has a company. He builds moving systems as well. And so when I went to Night for CLR this year, Pete had finished a mover for the range, so we've got that installed. That'll be part of the July course. We'll do another regional series 1 day for PRS in August, and then in September, I believe it's September the 21st. Man, this is bad when you run the range and you don't know. It's in September. Let's see here. Pretty sure it's September 21st. That's going to be our Young Guns Challenge. And that's what we call it, the Young Guns Challenge Texas Showdown. That is an 8 to 18-year-old match. So it's all youth. Uh, every kid gets a spotter or coach with them, and that's typically a parent. Uh, Now, some of your 14 to 18-year-old, PRS shooters, they can obviously run by themselves without coaching if they want to. But like your 8 to 10, 8 to 14, they get their own coach. The coach can help them set the gun. They can help them make wind calls, talk through and give corrections. They can help them do everything except actually acquire the target and engage the target. The youth shooters got to do that on their own. But that's an all prone match, distances from 200 to 1,200 yards, and it is an absolute great time. It's a whole family event. Every kid that comes and shoots it probably has brother, sister, mom and dad. Everybody's there at once, and so it's just a good time to come hang out. It's a fun match, and the kids have fun shooting, but it's just fun to get together with a bunch of good people. So that's a big
Yeah.
one for us.
I love that was my first time ever going to something like that. And it shows the passion that you got for kids and like and continuing what we do into like the next generation. And but it was just so cool. I mean, and like you said, I mean, you look behind the firing line and there'd be grandparents and aunts and uncles, sitting in chairs, watching. I mean, it was a legitimate whole family thing. And um, like I remember there was this like I think she was eight, a little 8-year-old girl, and smacked that deer at like 11:50, and I was like, this is the coolest thing
Oh yeah, it's
ever.
amazing. It's just amazing. Yeah, and it's
Yeah,
so fun just to see, when the kids make a good shot and see that look on their face and the excitement they have for it. And then also see the parent, that's helping them or the coach, whoever it is, it's just there's so much shared happiness in it that it's just wonderful.
yeah, yeah. It was cool. It's the because so it's kind of like a PRS match, but and then what the time limits are what, 4 minutes or so. Is that right?
Yeah, it's typically a 4 minute time
Okay.
limit. So plenty of time. There's not generally any more than 10 rounds to a stage. But the time limits are generous. There's not any positional movement going on.
Yeah.
And obviously the first thing we're trying to do is put on a good, safe event.
Yeah.
And then secondary, we want something to build confidence in new shooters. And so we don't want them to be frustrated or worried about, hey, I've got to move here or I've got to do this. We
Yeah.
want them to focus on breaking good shots and applying good fundamentals behind the rifle, because that's where it gets fun. All the other
Yeah.
stuff comes later.
Yeah. Well, and just and I guess I'm just not around kids that age in the sport all that much. And so it was, watching kids late, and it's multiple targets, multiple distances, multiple engagements, and just watching these kids just, I mean, those kids would outshoot a lot of my friends. I mean,
No doubt. Yeah.
uh, it was crazy impressive, and just and the same thing. It was an event, the food and prize tables, and the kids were so cool. That was fun too, getting to watch the kids like go run up and pick something off the prize table and just smile ear to ear because they won something and
Yeah.
and earned it, and it was cool. I really liked seeing the kids get involved like that. So, uh, and then the one and I'm stoked that the ELR match coming up, is it October? Is that right?
October 19th. Yeah, it's the War of 1812 is what we're calling it. And there is a reason behind that. We're history buffs, but we didn't name it for history things. So yeah, I'm sure you've seen it. You've probably shot it. There is an 1,812 yard target on this range, and so that
I
will
guess I
figure
didn't
into
realize
the
that.
yeah. So the way this thing lays out, back to the terrain thing, because of the way the terrain is here, uh, we don't have the ability to set a true 1,760 yard 1 mile target. It's just in a spot where there's just too much defilade and you just could not put a target there.
Hmm.
Uh, so as the terrain climbs up, the closest place to a mile we can get is 1812. So that will figure into this. There's going to be
But so you said there is going to be a target at 1812 for the match.
yeah, so there will be at least a one target at 1,812 that's going to figure into some stages. Uh, but in addition to that, this is an extended long range match. Uh, it's modeled. The format, will be basically identical to what you see at Night Force ELR up in Wyoming. Maximum of about 4 targets per stage, no more than 8 rounds in a stage shot, 2 minute time
Okay.
limit, and and 2-to-1 scoring. So first round impact on a target is 2 points, second round impact is 1 point, and then after that you've got to move on. Um, Average target distance for this match, the course is not all the way set, but I would prepare for a median target distance of about 900 yards and probably nothing closer than 650 or so.
Okay.
So it's going to be a place to stretch out some of the big rifles and bring your actual hunting gun out or your big long range elk gun and play with it a little bit and enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm pumped since I didn't make it to the Night Force match this year. I think I'm going to bring the XC to this match
Oh yeah,
and
do it.
and try and have some fun with it.
Yeah, that'll be awesome, dude.
Well, and for those that know, I mean, so the furthest target is 2,500 yards at the range,
It
right?
is. Yeah, we go out to 2,500.
Yeah, it's just it's so cool having something like that in West Texas. It's just it would, and honestly, that it just exists in general because finding places like that have that capability is getting rarer and rarer. But
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm stoked. I hope this match is a huge success, but I'd love to see it turn into another 2 day, for people that can't make it to Night Force or way further south or can't make it to Wyoming or whatever, uh have another ELR style match, or you get what I'm saying. I think it'll be really cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's kind of our intention with it too, because there actually are quite a few of us that try to get up to Wyoming for those matches. And
Yeah.
that's even become almost a series, I guess. Well, it is a series. I think there's an 8 match series now,
Yeah.
all based on that same format. And a lot of growth in it across the Western states because obviously they have the room to
Right.
set those kind of courses up. But it's my hope that we can bring that format down here and bring that style of shooting here a little bit more because there's plenty of guys who shoot those distances here. And it would be fun to get some of the Western guys down this direction too. You know,
Yeah.
most all the guys I know from up there are great shooters, great people to hang out with, and to be able to kind of crisscross the country a little bit back and forth to see each other is a lot of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And so for those that don't know West Texas Ordnance, kind of give a rundown of West Texas Ordnance while I've got you.
Yeah, so we're a full service custom rifle shop. We've been building custom rifles for the last 15 years now. We started in 2009, and
Okay.
just been blessed to grow extremely beyond what I thought it would ever be back then. I can promise you that. And yeah, it's just a great thing. We do everything from ground up builds where a guy walks in with nothing beyond an idea or a purpose. Lots of times we get guys that call us and say, "Hey, I have this hunt coming up at this time. What do I need?" And you get to start from the bottom with that and help them through the whole rifle process and build them the perfect tool for what they're going to do. Everything from that to, guys like yourself who are competition shooters shooting at a high level, and they're going through multiple barrels a year. We're a fully CNC capable shop. We maintain dimensions on every gun that goes out the door here. And so we have the abilities to really provide people with long-term support for their rifles. And I think that sets us apart in a lot of ways from some other shops that maybe are more one-off or not quite as streamlined as we are. And so, yeah, that's what we do. We have a whole ton of our own products that we build into our rifles and also sell to other gunsmiths and other end users. We just came out with our M5 bottom metal that just launched, and we're kind of in the early stages of launching that out. But I think you're using that. Did you use that last weekend?
I did, and it's freaking badass. I love it. Like
Awesome. I love to hear that.
legitimately, and and honestly, I never thought I would get excited about a bottom metal, but it take just the couple of little nuances that like I think needed to be tweaked. It's all there,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's awesome. And then y'all have a new tripod now, right?
That's in process. Yeah. So we're kind of in the prototyping phase on that.
Okay,
But look for that probably towards the end of the summer, early fall.
okay,
What we're looking at. It's don't want to give too much away on
yeah,
that just yet, but yeah, so far we're pretty excited about it, and it's working out well. So carry that on a little further, and yeah, should be coming soon.
yeah. Well, that's what one of the things. Like, I mean, well, I have a freaking table covered in barrels that y'all have done for me, and
Yeah,
um, dude,
two hundred pounds of barrels in there.
it yeah, I honestly got worried after I brought the last bat. I was like, man, I have so much weight on this freaking table. It's just, it's just a folding table, but it's hanging in there.
It's
Um,
tough.
but that's and I gotta brag on you is like every barrel I've ever gotten from y'all has just hammered, and I love coming in like when I'm breaking them in, telling Garrett like, oh yeah, look, this is what it did, but just it's the same. It's you know I don't ever have to worry about anything, and um they're just they're just great. And then the the switch lug that give a quick rundown of the switch lug because it's one of my favorite things that I have.
Oh, absolutely. So Switch Leg's a product we came out with a few years back. I think we launched it in 2017, and it's a barrel retention system, a clamp, for lack of a better word, or a simple word, that attaches to the face of a custom rifle receiver. We build them for Remington 700s. We build them for all of the custom rifle clones. We do them for the Tikka T3 and T3X. Um, Tons and tons of different receiver options that we produce this for, and it allows you to change barrels within about 2 minutes. And so you can take one rifle, one setup, one platform, if you will, and run a whole myriad of different calibers or different barrel lengths or different barrel weights to achieve whatever the mission is for that gun that day. You can have a PRS rifle and an NRL hunter rifle in one gun. You can have a true hunting rifle and a competition rifle in one gun. You can have a trainer, a practice barrel, and your game day competition barrel all on one rifle, all on one stock or chassis, all running the same optic, and not be investing a crazy amount of money in guns, even though we all still do that. Uh,
Right.
you can at least save a little bit in one spot and save up for that next sky pod or triple pull or whatever you need. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's just a way to take what you have and basically be a force multiplier in that and give you more options on how you use the tools that you have.
Yeah. Well, so like my NRL gun that y'all did, so I'm shooting a 7 saw for NRL Hunter, and I want to have y'all do a 22 Creed barrel
Oh
and
yeah,
uh have just coyote gun and deer gun or whatever. But
that'd be
just
sick.
I think it's just such a cool, and like I know y'all have built a lot of packages for guys like when they're traveling, like on a big hunt and they may be going after multiple species or something, and you can take a 6.5 Creed barrel and something a lot bigger or a lot smaller, whatever, and just take one Pelican with one gun, a barrel or two, and it covers the gamut. And you don't it way knocks down on what you actually have to take with you, but it's
Yeah,
cool.
that's
For me, I love it because I can go to the range and take 6 barrels and test something and just unthread a barrel and put the next one on.
yeah, absolutely. Makes your range trips so much easier and more time shooting and less time working on stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I burned the crap out of my hands the last time I was there because it was 100 and something degrees and I was in a time crunch. So I was shoot, 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 shoot. All right, I'm gonna thread this. And I was like, I was trying to take it off. I was not smart enough to let it cool down for a minute, but uh,
So I know
it's
what
cool.
we're getting you for Christmas. We're going to buy you a very nice set of Phalanx Arms oven mats. How about some oven? There you go.
Yeah, yeah. Just dummy proof it for me a little bit.
That's it. That's it.
Well, man, I thank you so much for coming on and congrats on a good match. And I just I'm so pumped to see everything that y'all have going on, and it gets bigger and bigger every time I talk to you. Just I'm stoked for you guys. It's really cool to see. It's good to see such good things happening to good people.
Hey, Mike, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on, man.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you very much for listening. If you We went through a whole freaking gamut of things, but Clayton and his crew can get you squared away on dang near anything that you guys need, and put some of these matches on your calendar. I'll be at a bunch of them, um, and I'll be seeing you. Well, actually, I'll probably see you in, in tomorrow or the next day. So I'll be there soon.
Sounds good. We'll see you then.
I'll talk to you later.
See ya.